Hey, what's going on there, folks? Welcome back here to a Wednesday night, about 10:37 p.m. here, California time. June 19th, 2024 is the date. 1.2, the latest earthquake here. Looks like around the Bay Area of Northern California, actually in the Clear Lake Volcanic Field up here. Did see a little bit of movement striking up here once again off the Cascadia subduction zone with a 2.7. This one a little bit further off here into the Cascadia Basin. We did see some earthquake activity out here just a day or so ago, closer to the subduction zone area with a 2.6 out earthquake coming in yesterday. So interesting activity here taking place here with all the tremor activity here recently into the subduction zone area and various deep earthquakes here across Northern California. Now we're starting to get a little bit of activity along the Basin area. So we got to watch that. Cascadia subduction zone, no doubt, building up some steam out here for the next mega quake. Mount St. Helens still seeing some earthquake activity out here. Very shallow earthquake, though. Looks like at the surface areas here of the region. Let's go ahead and check out the Cascadia tremor real quick. Stand by for a second while I pull that up. Where we're looking at about 427 epicenters of tremor. So still on an uptick here. And it's been that way for just about a month, minus a couple days here. On the 22nd, it looks like, of last month is when we started to see things uptick. And they've just been on the go, so to speak, here ever since then. Looking at a total tally here of probably over 11,000. There we go, 11,719 epicenters of tremor. So this is a pretty big event. If you really look at historical data points out here throughout the years, this one here is unmatched compared to previous years out here since the tremor activity has been discovered and studied on a scientific view. So this may not be a lot of tremor on one given day. We've seen obviously 900, maybe even over 1,000 epicenters of tremor on one given day before, but this is a more broader uptick here that's taken place. Now, whether that's due to the lack of extreme daily tremor counts like we had seen in the past, that's a good question. But either way, there's definitely something going on here with the Cascadia subduction zone here, and there's a lot of tremor taking place here, a lot so far this year, and the majority of that, of course, has been within the last month. 11,719 epicenters of tremor along the Cascadia, mainly across the southern end, but as you've noticed here in the past couple days, we've been filling in up here across the entire length, so we've got to be on guard. And then, of course, with this other earthquake activity offshore here, this earthquake and the previous one yesterday closer, there's some strain out here. 324 years of strain built up out here. Northern California, not a whole lot going on out there. Southern Cal, we got a little bit of swarming down here on the San Jacinto fault zone, a little clustering going on here. Really nothing big, a bunch of ones. The San Andreas fault, quiet for now, nothing major going on across that area. A little bit of activity here northwest of Las Vegas. This has been ongoing off and on here for a couple days. Little swarming here around this mountain range. A little odd too. Some of this is shallow, some of it's deep. So, and I'm not 100% certain exactly which fault system this is occurring on. There's numerous faults out here. It looks like it may be on an unnamed fault, but it does look like things may have been calming down here in the last 24 hours. As you can see, the majority of the activity from this morning and yesterday. Yellowstone National Park, a couple small volcanoes, a couple small earthquakes out here. Let's check out the Yellowstone overview real quick while we're on the topic here. We got not a whole lot at all. Seriously, not a whole lot. It's not even worth bringing it up right now. Throughout the area of Texas, Oklahoma, typical zones, right? Getting hit in the oil fields out there. Around the Caribbean plate here, definitely got some earthquake activity out there around Puerto Rico. I think we got some further movement here into the Middle America Trench. Quite a few fours and whatnot here across the area of the Middle America Trench. Guatemala area, seeing some earthquake activity. Of course, that is leading towards some elevated activity here across the Fuego volcano. And this is nothing new. This volcano activity out here, this is actually a very active volcano with, some daily eruptive activity here. And they've been averaging about 3 to 9 per hour on most days. Daily explosion. So this is nothing new. I try to cover, someone was asking me about this, but I try to cover new events. This has been ongoing since, quite a few years. Let me see, where was that date at? I think it's been ongoing here since 2000. Fuego. Yeah, since 2002. So, yeah, 2002 is the eruption start date up here. So this is nothing new. Show me a volcano that's got some new, unusual activity to it, and I'll jump on it. Speaking of that real quick, we did see some earthquake activity out here in Iceland across this volcano there called the Katla. I believe that's right, or Katla. Not for sure exactly how to pronounce that, but that volcano can produce some sizable explosions out here, and they're having a little bit of earthquake activity out there. The last eruption was back in 1918. Some considerable eruption activity from that volcano, and it had a volcanic explosive index roughly between 4 and 5 on a scale of 0 to 8. So in comparison, the Mount St. Helens volcano was roughly about the same or so. Looks like there was been a couple smaller episodes of eruptions back in 1999, but it does look like this volcano erupts I think it's every 40 years or so. Do got to watch that, because this thing can produce some explosive type volcanic eruptions there. And Iceland, of course, has been quite active here recently across various rift zones. Yeah, I think it's about every 40 years or so they see a major volcanic eruption. The last major one was back in 1918, so we're over 100 years. Last major eruption there. And it does have some glacier activity up there, so you're talking about ice on top of a volcano. This could definitely turn into something big. Right now, there's that earthquake activity. There was a 2.8 and a couple other smaller quakes around that volcano. We'll continue to watch that. The area of interest right now, of course, is around the Grindavik area, where we're seeing that ongoing eruption. But yeah, we'll definitely keep an eye on this area, because that is intriguing. Definitely, that's something that would be newsworthy for sure if that thing does pop. All right, let's get back to earthquake activity here. Again, Middle America Trench quite active, affecting some of the volcanoes out there, but it's been ongoing for quite a while. Nothing new. There around the South America area, Peru-Chile Trench, some deeper activity there. Notice the rings raised well off the globe here into the Chile area. Only a 4.4 shown up here on the USGS map, but as you can see on the EMSC model, quite a bit going on down there. Some further activity across the New Zealand area. A little bit of swarming going on here. North Island area once again stretching across the plate boundary down to South Island. No big time earthquake activity yet, but it has been an area to watch here with the ongoing movement in the deeper, and also some surface adjustment quakes going on there across North Island. A 5.0 earthquake coming in fairly recent here to the Vanuatu area. About an hour or so ago, about an hour and 20 minutes, or hour and 10 minutes, 20 minutes. One of those. 245 kilometers deep. So that is a deep earthquake. Watch this area. Deeper activity across this plate boundary here normally leads to some larger movement. Across the big island of Hawaii here, The majority of the activity does look like it was from earlier this morning. A couple earthquakes here this afternoon and evening in the 2 range. Let's go check that out real quick. See what's going on here with this volcano. Obviously, we live on a very active planet. And imagine how boring it would be without plate tectonics and everything that's going on below the surface. Be like living on Mars. Let's see here. Still out of yellow as far as the Kilauea volcano goes. Deformation data continues to go up, right? Let's see. Deformation data right here. A little bit of downturn here in the last couple hours, it looks like. But still on the uppity up here in terms of inflation across the summit and the East Rift Zone. And, of course, this level, folks, is way higher than what happened than the previous level back in early June here when we seen that eruption on the Southwest Rift Zone for a very short period, 10 hours. We're way up there. And the overall trend out here in the last several years since 2018 is we are elevated. Something big coming. Question is, what? Whether it's going to be a huge magma displacement or maybe a huge magma eruptive fissure activity there across the Kilauea volcano. We'll have to watch that. All right, and earthquake activity, obviously the key to watching this. We are seeing a little bit of movement on the deeper regions once again across Pahala area, and that could have something to do with the further influx here of magma from below, feeding the Mauna Loa and the Kilauea volcano. We did see some earthquake activity out here, somewhat sizable. What was that? 4.1 here. Couple days ago. Nothing big, but it does tell us right there that there's some increasing magma potentially coming up here towards the shallower areas to possibly feed these volcanoes further, and that could increase. Obviously, it will increase the inflation that's going on there across the volcano there. All right, let's go to the earthquake 3D globe here. Don't want to make this a super long update. 3.4. Right around the Philippines area. Get a little bit of migration here across the Java Trench here recently with some forests stirring up out there. There's that earthquake activity across the volcano there, the Katla volcano. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. If not, please correct me. I'm up for correction. All right, space weather activity. Let's check this out real quick, see what's going on. Look on the far side. Look on the eastern limb here. Does look quite active. A couple different sunspot regions coming around the bend. So right now we do have, obviously these sunspots gaining some momentum, gaining some steam here. All three of these are actually impressive. They're gaining a lot of momentum, and unfortunately, here in a couple days or so, they'll be off on the western limb. So if they're going to blast off, any sufficient flares or CMEs, they probably should do it right now. Otherwise, this will be out of sight, out of mind. We do have some active regions coming around the eastern limb, and that is from a couple different older sunspots out here. There we go. Getting ahead of myself here. We're talking about 3691. We're seeing some of that out here. A newer sunspot here on the eastern limb as well, and 3697 will be here in a couple days. We'll get a better glimpse at 3697 here very soon. Let's see here. Here's the latest imagery. Still a gigantic sunspot out here. Hard to say how complex it is. It has been thrown off some explosions there on the far side of the sun, so I'm assuming that this is still going to be quite active. But we got this region up here. That's going to be former sunspot 3691. That does look like it has grown somewhat in size from this image to the next, as far as the most recent update goes. So, we got a couple active regions out here, and you can see it. Bright features out here indicating some potential flaring going on from those sunspot regions there on the far eastern limb of the sun. And for now, you know, we're hitting the solar maximum, right? We're not done with all the X flares. In fact, we're not done with all the aurora activity. Good shot. We may see some further auroras here in the forecast down into the low latitudes again if things play out. Right now, there's not a whole lot of threats going on there for the aurora forecast. But we'll continue to keep an eye on it. Elevated chance here, 15% chance for the X flare. M flare at 60, C flare around 99% chance. Storm Prediction Center out here. We do have tropical storm system down there into the Corpus Christi area, Brownsville area of Texas. Let's go look at that real quick and see what we got stirring up. I've seen a lot of storm surge up here around Surfside Beach, Texas, where I was at here a couple weeks ago, enjoying some R&R out there in the beautiful Gulf of Mexico. But yeah, a lot of storm surge coming in there right now, just from a tropical system, very low-grade tropical system here. That's going to be tropical storm. Let's see here. What's that name? Alberto? Not a big deal. That's not a huge hurricane. Very low-grade tropical storm. But it just goes to show you here, some of the strengthening stage here can produce quite a bit of storm surge. There is still a tropical storm warning here in the blue up and down the Mexico coast here, up into the Corpus Christi area, Brownsville, Texas as well. Sustained winds. Looks like it's about 50 miles per hour. Movement west at about 9 miles per hour. This thing will rapidly deteriorate as it moves over land, and that will be the end of Alberto. Far as anything else goes in terms of weather models out here, let's go ahead and put this into perspective, see what we got. It does look like maybe another one behind Alberto forming in the same area. See that? Watch the southern edge of the screen right there. Looks like maybe another tropical system. Aside from that, let's put this into view here. I'm not seeing any weather models pick up on any type of tropical system out here, but of course we will continue to monitor that and keep you folks updated here. All right, fire. Let's see here. Watch duty is the key to the fire map here. And the fire here just west of me, southwest of me here, I'm just outside Chico area, but the Sites fire, they finally updated the acres out here. They kept it at 13 or what was it, 15,000 acres yesterday or late last night and all day today, and they finally updated it to 19,000 acres. I'm not for sure why they put the delay out, but we're at 19,124 acres here. 10% containment, so a little bit of catching up there on the containment of this fire. We haven't really had too much in terms of winds, but we do have the heat out here, and I'm sure the fire is creating its own weather and environment up there. Right now, winds look to be out of the west. As you can see, these arrows, these little wind, they almost look like bugs, little wind fireflies here, moving off to the east. And there's unfortunately still a lot of unburned territory that fire could extend into. I've been hearing airplanes, obviously, a lot of large air tankers flying over, dropping some further retardant out here. Yeah, I don't know how effective that stuff is. I was seeing them drop it all day yesterday, and I don't know if they made a dent or not. I need to get up there and see, how this stuff works, far as these airdrops go, and see what the reliability on them are, because there's tanker after tanker going up there, but we're still burning up here. Nothing's going away. Nothing's going down. 10% containment only. So we'll continue to watch that. This is the area of burn. This is a fire perimeter out here. And it does look like it's starting to burn further back up north here. This is some newer activity. We'll watch this overnight. Again, that's one of California's largest fires. It happens to be right next to me. Further down south here into the Southern California area, the post-fire looks like they're getting a handle on it. 43% containment. Same acres here as yesterday, so it doesn't look like anything's been updated here in terms of the acres burned. So hopefully we can get a hold of that. There's a little fire here called the Arrow Fire. 45% containment on that. 5,351 acres. Eastern side here of the San Joaquin Valley. Fortunately, right now, no big fires up in the mountains. We want to keep that away. Definitely keep that away. Obviously, big fires out in New Mexico and Arizona. Not going to go into that right now, but see what else there. A little earthquake in Japan. It looks like it just showed up. Let me see where that was at. Right here, a little 4.7. 47 kilometers deep here into the Japan Trench. That did show up kind of nicely on the Japan station right here. Following that earthquake, a little bit of movement there in Hawaii. See that? A little spike of an earthquake following that plate adjustment here across the west side of the Pacific Plate. Got to remember, right? This is a big, giant jigsaw puzzle, so to speak. You move one, you adjust one area of the plate right here. That ultimately can affect, Hawaii, the hotspot area out here. And, of course, various other areas out here across the plate boundary and adjacent plates. So Hawaii does look like it's starting to move here following that earthquake, or following that Japan earthquake there. 2.3. This one fairly shallow. So we'll keep an eye on things here, see what plays out. There's obviously, a lot to look forward to here in terms of possibilities, eruptions, earthquakes. As I've said before, we're living in super quiet times, but it doesn't look like that's going to last much longer here. It does look like things are starting to kick up, get active in more various areas around the world in terms of volcanoes and earthquakes and whatnot. So that's just a part of our human life here on this planet. Natural disasters and whatnot. I've taken that class in college, and it's a very interesting class there. If you get a chance to take a natural hazards and disasters class, it's well worth it. It all comes down to being prepared, right? Things are going to happen no matter where you're at here on this planet. The best thing to do is have a plan, and obviously, don't want to be scared. A lot of the stuff, a 9-pointer up here along the Cascadia does sound pretty scary, right? There's so many people that live up here. I come up here a couple times a year throughout the Oregon coastline and Northern California as well. Absolutely beautiful drive up Highway 101 as you head, to Coos Bay, Bandon, Oregon, Gold Beach. Beautiful area. Love that drive. But it's Tsunami Central. That's going to be a bad deal when that Cascadia goes, but got to be prepared and have a plan. That is the key to survival, right? All right. Have a good night, folks. Tomorrow is Thursday, one day closer to the Friday time period. So I think I'm actually I already have one. I got a huge brisket. Bought it here a couple days ago. I threw it in the freezer. I'm gonna pull it out tomorrow, let it defrost, and I'm gonna have a huge barbecue this weekend. Pop up a nice little brisket there on the barbecue and smoke it for about 13-14 hours in the 107 degree heat. It's supposed to be about 107 or so here this weekend where I'm at. That's average. That is sad to say, but that's what we're used to out here in Northern California. Goodness. Need somewhere else. I need to be somewhere else out here. Beautiful state of Nebraska sounds wonderful. Maybe South Dakota, North Dakota even. All right. Have a good day, folks. Enough of my mumbling. I'm out of here. Peace out.